All right, so welcome back everyone. So today we're working on the 110 grain Sierra Varminter bullets for 300 Blackout. So we're working up a variety of different loads to test out, and basically looking at that Sierra data, they didn't have much. They only did 2 loads basically with Lil Gun. And so essentially they had 19.6 grains, which they logged at 2,300 feet per second, and that was out of a 16-inch barrel with a Winchester small rifle primer. And then they had another load they did at 20.7. So I started at 18.5 and have made some different loads, kind of stair-stepping up, and just kind of seeing what we get with the chronograph and what kind of results we get with these. These bullets, as I've mentioned in the first video, they don't seem to kind of get a lot of play in the 300 Blackout community. You know, I saw a little bit of chitter chatter online about them, but it seems like there's a lot of other bullets out there that are much more widely used, and that's kind of the result that we get right there. So the other thing with these that whenever I looked at the data, that kind of stood out was the overall length that they were using was, I think, about the shortest I've ever loaded for 300 Blackout. So 1.97. And I think part of it's just kind of the bullet shape. It's kind of maybe more of a little bit of a stubbier bullet, and also doesn't have a plastic tip in the nose in the hollow point area either. So maybe that's a part of it. I've not compared it really too closely side to side with other bullets, but so one thing I found whenever I was setting up the dies, the thing that I ran into was, based on just using other bullets before, was that 1.97 came up pretty fast. So just kind of watch it when you set your dies up, kind of be prepared for that. It just seemed like I actually went way beyond that, and I think because I was just kind of taking a seat of the pants feel with it whenever I was setting up the die, and went pretty fast to like 1.95, and I was like, oh, okay. So dialed it back to 1.97. So usually when I'm loading stuff, what I generally do is I start with the manufacturer's data, especially if they're using, like in this case, their data, for instance, they're using a 16-inch barrel just like I am. And I kind of, a lot of these bullet manufacturers, they've been around a long time, so I just kind of go off of what they do to kind of start with, and they know their bullets better than I do, so I kind of use that as a starting point. And then the other thing that I do is I also check a lot of online forums. So I have a peek around in a lot of the different online forums to kind of see, so I'll do a Google search, or I'll search different forums that I belong to, and kind of see what other people were doing, and then I just kind of collate all that together to kind of give me an idea of what I'm actually going to do. And that's what I recommend, for all reloaders. At the end of the day, you've got to kind of do your own thing, and everyone has different circumstances and stuff. So you've got to basically do your research, and then decide what you think is going to work best for you. So what I'm doing is what's working for me, but may not be 100% applicable to you, depending on what you're running. So always double check your work and do your own research. So but I'll look around at different forums and look at what the bullet manufacturer did, and then I kind of decide from there what I'm doing. So that's kind of the way I play it. So we're going to load up about 15 of these all together. So and it'll be interesting to see what results we get with this. I got these on sale, I think at I think it was Midway I got these. I think they were 26 cents a bullet, and that was last year sometime. I didn't get too many of them because I didn't know a lot about them. So, but it's something where, you know, as I've mentioned in a lot of my other videos, sometimes it's good to kind of work with a different bullet that you haven't used much and just kind of see what results you get. And then if you really like it a lot, then it's a thing of in the future when you see a good bulk buy on them, you can jump on them and, you know, buy a couple thousand or whatever, or buy 1,000. And then, you know, once you kind of have that load set, you know, you've got some sort of you know, history with it, where you can use that whenever you do your loads in the future to kind of work from, because you've already had that experience. So that's why with 300 Blackout I was kind of stuck in a rut for a while, and, you know, was just loading kind of the same stuff all the time. And so it's been one of those things where it's like, hey, I need to kind of start thinking about, you know, some other stuff out there, not just the same old stuff I've been doing, and start to experiment a little bit and see if I can get some better results. Also for me, whenever I'm loading a lot of this stuff, it's a thing where, in my case, 300 Blackout is something that generally I look at it as a 0 to 200 yard cartridge. And with the terrain that I live in, for the most part, I don't really need to go beyond that. Yeah. If I do, I've got 308 rifles for that, and I am going to consider maybe 6.5 Grendel or 6 ARC in the future, just for fun. But I don't really, you know, just with the terrain I'm in, I can't go much further than that. So for me, it's kind of an ideal cartridge, you know. And then of course you can play around with it all the way from these very lightweight supersonic bullets all the way up to, you know, the subsonic bullets with the real heavy grain stuff, and you can do all kinds of stuff 300 Blackout. So yeah, 300 Blackout, it has its ups and downs, and, you know, there's negatives about it, I guess, and, you know, probably I can go through and do a video at some point from my experience with what I see as the positives or negatives. Obviously, I find on the forums, it's a cartridge that catches a lot of either people really love it or they just they hate it, you know. So, you know, everyone has their likes or dislikes. I have to say, personally, for me, I've yet to find a cartridge out there that I just totally dislike. I'll pretty much shoot anything, and, you know, I just see myself as an enthusiast and just like to try out different things. So, you know, this channel won't be just specifically 300 Blackout all the time and all that. It just happens to be what I'm working on right now. So probably in the future there's going to be all sorts of stuff, not just reloading, but a lot of other things that I do as well. So there might be a few surprises for those that kind of jump on the channel early on once we get into it. But anyways, so, you know, there's our finished result there. So I'll see if the camera pick it up good or gets it in focus there. But anyways, that's the way it's kind of looking. And so, yeah, we'll see what we do and how it goes. And the other thing I do is I always check all my rounds in the case gauge. So you know, for years I've been using this one case gauge from Shorten Engineering right here for 300 Blackout. And so kind of the approach I take is I try to kind of keep ammunition fairly standardized, in the sense that I don't want to get too much into custom tailoring different things. Because like, you know, in my case, if I have multiple rifles or pistols that have 300 Blackout I'm running in it, I don't want to feel like I have to tailor a cartridge specifically to one firearm and all that if it's the same cartridge. So I wanted to work in all. So I pretty much, well, I always check all my ammo in a case gauge, and so everything's looking looking pretty sweet there. So yeah, so I always give my ammo a check in the case gauge, and if it doesn't work, then I can kind of sit there and look at it and kind of figure out what's going wrong, and even put it in the reject pile. Sometimes it could be just, you know, the brass is just worn out, or there's some production error with the brass, or, you know, some sort of issue with the bullet seating, or, you know, it could be all kinds of stuff. So yeah, case gauges, to me, it's something that I, you know, use a fair bit. So anyways, so next up after this, we're going to be going up on the mountain. The conditions are kind of rough in terms of how much snow and ice there is. So we'll go up there. We're going to do some testing up on the mountain. And it's a hike into the backcountry with snowshoes. And won't be really doing any accuracy testing up there except for hitting the steel gong. But once the weather improves, then I'll be able to kind of maybe do more of that. Right now the weather has just been pretty atrocious, so I'm kind of limited in what I can do. All right, so that kind of wraps up the video. So any questions or comments, feel free to throw in below. To me, this is all about just kind of sharing your experiences and stuff, so I'm always happy to hear from other people. And like, share, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm, so that way you know, the videos can kind of get out there and help other people that might be looking for info on a certain cartridge, or you know, the same things that I'm doing. So I appreciate it, y'all. Have a good one.